The NBA is full of players who looked like future stars. Number 1 picks, Rookie of the Year winners, guys with size, skill, hype, and every reason to become something bigger. But talent alone does not keep you alive in this league. If your game stays the same while the NBA keeps changing, the fall comes fast. And these are some of the clearest examples of players who had the tools, had the moment, and still never truly evolved. Ben Simmons entered the NBA in 2016 as the number 1 overall pick, and almost everything about his profile screamed future superstar. He had size, strength, point guard vision, and from the start he made a serious defensive impact. He won Rookie of the Year, made first-team All-Defense twice, and even led the league in steals. For a while, Philadelphia had every reason to believe it had a player who could control games in multiple ways. But the missing piece in Simmons' game did not just stay unfixed, it got louder. He never developed a real three-point shot. The free throws became the real breaking point, especially in the 2021 playoffs when he shot just 33% from the line, a disaster for a player handling the ball that much. The aggression vanished at the exact moment his team needed it most. Against Atlanta, he took 0 fourth-quarter shots in 5 of the 7 games. That 5-year, $170 million contract was supposed to be the start of another level, but that level never came. Back problems, surgery, and long stretches of unavailability only made the drop more obvious. Simmons still had elite gifts, but in a league obsessed with spacing and versatility, he became one of the clearest examples of what happens when a huge talent stops evolving while the game keeps changing. DeAndre Ayton entered the NBA in 2018 as the number 1 overall pick with the exact frame teams dream about in a modern center. He was 7 feet tall, strong, mobile, and soft around the rim. As a rookie, the numbers already looked good, around 16 points and 10 rebounds a night. The problem was what happened after that. Year after year, the production kept landing in almost the same neighborhood. For a player drafted to become a franchise pillar, that kind of stability stops looking like a strength. It starts looking like a ceiling. Ayton never grew into a true floor-spacing big. The three-point shot was basically missing. He also never became a high-pressure foul magnet despite having a major size advantage. Defensively, he was serviceable, sometimes better than that, but never to the point where he looked like the guy changing an entire team's identity. Even during Phoenix's 2021 finals run, he played his role well without fully becoming the center of the story. And that is the real issue with Ayton. This was not a dramatic collapse. It was a quieter kind of disappointment. He stayed useful, stayed productive, and still never reached the version people were sure was coming. Jordan Poole entered the NBA in 2019 as the kind of scorer who always looked one heater away from blowing a game open. He had almost reckless confidence, willing to shoot from anywhere in any rhythm from any angle. Inside Golden State's system that sometimes looked like a weapon. There were stretches where Poole scored more than 20 a game, shot free throws at an elite level, and made it feel like the Warriors had found a modern attack guard who could create points and stretch a defense at the same time. But the gap between explosive scorer and reliable guard started showing up fast. Poole could get buckets, but the efficiency never truly climbed into elite territory. His field goal numbers stayed ordinary, and his playoff numbers dipped hard when the pressure rose. In one postseason stretch, he shot around 25% from 3 and saw his scoring almost cut in half compared to the regular season. His role also kept drifting. Some nights he looked like a lead ball handler. Other nights he was just a microwave scorer playing off the ball. That inconsistency kept his game from maturing into something complete. The flashes were real, the scoring bursts were real, but the jump from exciting scorer to trusted high-level guard still has not fully happened. D'Angelo Russell entered the NBA in 2015 as the number 2 overall pick with the profile of a modern lead guard. He could score, create, and control tempo. His early years with the Lakers showed enough flashes to make people believe a real star was coming. Then came the All-Star season in Brooklyn, more than 21 points per game, a playoff push, and the feeling that this was finally the breakout. It looked like the start of something bigger. Looking back now, that season feels more like a lone peak than the beginning of a new level. Russell remained a solid three-point shooter, remained capable of running offense, and still had stretches where the scoring looked smooth. But the full package never settled into elite territory. His field goal efficiency usually stayed in the low 40s. His defense never became a major strength, and his role kept shifting from team to team. Lakers Nets, Warriors Timberwolves, back to the Lakers, then another move. That kind of movement says a lot. Russell has always been good enough to interest teams, but never complete enough for one team to fully hand him the long-term future of its backcourt. The talent has always been there. The version people expected to arrive just never fully did. Andrew Wiggins entered the NBA in 2014 as the #1 overall pick, and the expectations around him were obvious from day one. He looked like the blueprint for a modern star wing. Explosive athlete, long frame, natural scoring touch, real two-way upside. He won Rookie of the Year, had strong scoring seasons in Minnesota, and for a while it felt like he might grow into the face of an era. All the tools were sitting right there. But Wiggins never fully became the maximum version people imagined. The scoring stayed respectable over the years, yet the playmaking never jumped enough. The overall efficiency never settled into elite territory, and the defensive impact was not consistently what people expected from that kind of athletic profile. His All-Star season and the 2022 title run with Golden State were major highs, but they also highlighted something else. He looked most effective as a high-level supporting piece, not as the center of a franchise. That is what makes the Wiggins story different. He did not disappear. He stayed useful, valuable, and relevant in the league. But for a former #1 pick once projected as a complete superstar, the arc still feels like an unfinished version of what was supposed to happen. Michael Carter-Williams might be one of the strangest examples of a player who looked like he was taking off on day one only for that first lift to end up being the highest point of his entire career. His rookie season in Philadelphia was almost too perfect for people not to believe a major leap was coming next. He averaged more than 16 points, around 6 rebounds, and 6 assists per game, won Rookie of the Year, and joined an extremely rare group of rookies to put up that kind of all-around stat line. With his size, vision, and feel, he looked like the kind of lead guard a franchise could build around. The shock was that there was almost no second level after that. The scoring dropped. The minutes declined. The shooting efficiency never truly improved, and the three-point shot stayed a major weakness in a league that kept demanding more spacing from guards. He moved from team to team, from Philadelphia to Milwaukee, Chicago, Charlotte, Houston, and Orlando, and everywhere the pattern felt the same. Smaller role, smaller impact. What makes this case hit harder than most is that Carter-Williams did not just have a solid rookie year. He had one that looked special. And because it looked that special, everything that followed felt like a cold reminder that sometimes the brightest opening chapter is only an illusion of a future that never actually arrives. Jahlil Okafor entered the NBA in 2015 as the 3rd overall pick, and if you looked strictly at old-school offensive big man skills, he seemed incredibly valuable. Smooth footwork, soft touch around the rim, a polished back-to-the-basket game that was rare for a young player. As a rookie, he scored around 17 points per game and made it feel like Philadelphia had found a center who could anchor offense for years. For a lot of people, that looked like more than enough foundation for a major career. The problem was that the NBA changed faster than Okafor's game did. While the league sprinted toward spacing, switching, and mobility, he stayed tied to a style built around post play and paint touches. The rebounding never truly jumped, the defense never developed into a strength, and the outside shot never opened a second layer for him. Just a few years after that promising rookie season, Okafor's role had already shrunk hard. He went from looking like a future frontcourt piece to becoming a reserve, then eventually a player with no clear place in a modern rotation. This is one of the clearest examples of a player who did not lose all his talent, but still got beaten by the speed of the league's evolution. Tyreke Evans had the kind of start that makes a franchise believe it just found a real star. His rookie season was not merely good. It was rare enough to put him in serious historical company almost immediately. He averaged more than 20 points per game along with about 5 rebounds and nearly 6 assists, then walked away with Rookie of the Year. With his size handle and downhill scoring ability, Evans looked like the type of guard who would keep adding layers until he became a long-term offensive centerpiece. At that point, everything around him seemed to point in one direction up. The shock is that the rookie season ended up being the clearest peak of the whole story. He never reached 20 points per game again. The three-point shot never developed enough to push him into elite territory, and the overall efficiency did not truly explode over time either. His role gradually shrank across multiple teams, and by the time he was in Indiana, the production had dropped hard. Then came the heavier off-court blow. In 2019, the NBA dismissed him for violating the league's drug program. With Evans, the story was never about a lack of talent. It was about a talent that arrived blazing hot, then never burned any brighter than it already had. Brandon Jennings entered the NBA in 2009 with a very different kind of story. He skipped the traditional college path, played professionally in Italy, and still became the 10th overall pick. Then the hype exploded almost immediately. Just a few games into his rookie season, Jennings dropped 55 points in a single night, the kind of performance that forces the whole league to pay attention. He finished that first year averaging more than 15 points and nearly 6 assists per game, and by his third season he climbed above 19
per game.
For a moment he looked like a lead guard with real star-level firepower. Then the development stalled before it ever became complete. Jennings' shooting efficiency never caught up to his usage or his fearless style. The three-point shot stayed in the low 30s, and his field goal percentage spent multiple seasons below 40%. That was already a problem, but the real break came with the Achilles injury in 2015. After that, the scoring fell, the role got smaller, and the career slowly shifted from a player once projected as a major backcourt weapon to a guard moving from team to team. Jennings never lacked confidence. He never lacked explosive moments. What he lacked was the steady growth needed to turn those flashes into a truly big career. That is the colder side of the NBA people do not talk about enough. A lot of players do not fall off because they lack talent. They fall off because their game stopped moving while the league never did.